welcome everybody to the July webinar for HeatSmart Tompkins, and our program also serves Chemung County. My name is Lisa Marshall, and I am the HeatSmart Program Director, and I have with me here my intern Tara. She'll be helping you out in the chat. Tara and I actually both live in Chemung County, so if there's any Chemung County folks, special welcome to you. We're often dominated by Tompkins in this program, but we are slowly and surely building in Chemung County as well. So I'm going to now share my slides and give you my short presentation on HeatSmart and what we do and the program, and then we'll get a chance to hear from all of our partners, and then we'll have a chance for your questions. Okay, so screen sharing now. So what is HeatSmart? We are a community nonprofit. We don't make any money off of any sales that are generated by our work. Our mission is purely outreach and education and support of residents of Chemung County and Tompkins County who are interested in learning more about the cost savings, the comfort, the convenience, and the climate solutions that are available for your home or building. We are one of about 20 NYSERDA clean heating and cooling campaigns. This map shows all of the campaigns in New York. NYSERDA is New York State's Energy Research and Development Authority. And they, as you can see, they funded campaigns so that now the majority of New Yorkers are served by a clean heating and cooling campaign, or a HeatSmart campaign, as most of them are called. And I love to show this map because I'm just so pleased that New York State is doing this good work, but also it's a little bit of bragging rights for us at HeatSmart, because this was our idea, a community idea started in just one town with a few folks in Tompkins County that spread out to the whole county, and just some people that really wanted to do more to promote climate solutions at the local level. And that campaign was so successful, and the idea was such a good one, that NYSERDA decided to fund our campaign and then all these other copycat campaigns around the state. So we're tremendously proud of having launched this idea that has taken off. And we are, our campaign has inspired people not only across New York, but even in other states. So why the heck do we need a clean heating and cooling campaign anyway? Well, that is because we find ourselves in what some have termed the climate crisis or the climate emergency, caused by the ever increasing amount of greenhouse gases that we put into the atmosphere by mostly burning fossil fuels, although they sometimes come from other sources, but fossil fuels is the main reason. And so because of the ever increasingly unstable climate, we are having to figure out as a society, as a species, as a country, as a state, what we're going to do about reducing those greenhouse gas emissions. And here in New York State, we have passed last year the climate law, the CLCPA, the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, that actually requires us to reduce those emissions and figure out how to do it. And this is pretty exciting stuff. Nobody's really ever figured out how to actually reduce emissions from all these sectors before. So as you can see from this chart, the building sector is one of the major sources of emissions, and it's quite a tough nut to crack to figure out how to reduce emissions from our buildings. So first we have to look at our buildings and say, how are we using energy in our buildings, and how can we use less energy to get the same things? Because we need to heat the buildings in the winter. It's a cold state. We are increasingly find we need air conditioning on these hot summers, and we need hot water, and we need to run our appliances. So how can we cut the emissions from all of those energy uses? This chart shows that over half of our energy in our homes is heating and cooling. This is from Minnesota, but it's not too different from New York. And also this 15% for water heating, I've seen anywhere between 15 and 20% for New York numbers. So those are the two areas that we really focus on at HeatSmart, are the heating, the cooling, and the hot water heating. And by the way, most of this 55% is heating, very little of that is cooling. So in short, our recommendations to the public are to first have someone, a professional, one of our installer partners, preferably take a look at your building envelope. And what that is basically like how well insulated is your building. That's like does your building have warm wool socks and warm sweater and a warm woolly hat on to keep the warm air in the winter and the cool air in the summer? And then how well sealed is it? Are there cracks that the air is leaking out of? And so that's like, if you have a warm wool sweater on, but it's windy, you still might need a windbreaker on to keep the wind from cutting through that sweater. And that's where the air sealing comes in. So we're really, no matter what kind of heating system you have or air conditioning, if your home's envelope or your building envelope is in good shape, then you're going to be using less energy, lowering your bills, and decreasing the amount of greenhouse gases that you're emitting from your house. And then we look at how are we creating that warm and cool air, and what we recommend are the marvelous things called heat pumps. And we're going to talk about those in a minute. And we also recommend heat pumps for heating your hot water. So what is a heat pump? Well, actually, you already have one. It's not very new technology. The basic physics of it have been known for a long time. The idea is that there's a closed loop system with a refrigerant chemical inside. And that refrigerant chemical, when you put it under low pressure, it evaporates and it absorbs heat. And when you put it under higher pressure, it condenses and it gives off heat. And that simple physics is what is used to keep the inside of your refrigerator cool, but it's also what is used for a heat pump that warms your indoor space or even your hot water. So the reason they're so incredibly efficient is that heat energy is actually already in the air around us or in the ground. It doesn't have to be created by the heat pump. It just has to be moved around and used in a way that's useful for you. And that creates incredible efficiency. So some people have electric baseboard heat, for example. An electric baseboard, 1 unit of electricity converts to 1 unit of heat. But in a heat pump, 1 unit of electricity to run the heat pump converts to 2, 3, 4, sometimes even more than 4 units of heat. And that's where the efficiency comes in. And that's why you don't have to use as much energy to run that system. So there are multiple applications for this heat pump technology. There's so-called air source heat pumps that take that thermal energy out of the air, the sun's warmth, basically out of the air. Even in the winter, there's heat energy in the air, otherwise we couldn't live on Earth. Shown here is a ductless mini split type of heat pump. The refrigerant lines run out here and up through this hidden line set and into the house where there's indoor units that distribute the warm or cool air. Here's a ground source system shown, which I consider to be sort of the gold standard of the heat pump world. These are the most efficient type of heating you could possibly have and the most efficient cooling. And these systems are incredibly long lasting. So it's a big investment up front, but it will last you for decades. And here the system is taking the heat energy out of the ground, which is always 50 degrees. That's why it's so much more efficient than any other kind of heating, because it's taking heat energy. It's actually the sun's energy stored in the earth, like almost like a battery, a heat battery. And then take the ground loop, brings that into here. Here's the heat pump in your basement and distributes that warm air through the house. And then you can run it in reverse and suck that warm air out of the house and stick it back into the ground. And it's this ground source heat pump is shown on this slide for heating and cooling, and also for water heating, because a ground source heat pump can be used to heat your domestic hot water as well. This little guy over here never gets quite enough as much love as he should, or she should, I guess. This is the heat pump, standalone heat pump water heater. This is basically like a regular electric water heater that some of you may already have, but instead of the coil down here having to heat up cold water to a hot temperature you can take a shower with, that's the job of the heat pump. It's a little heat pump that sits on top, takes heat energy out of the air, preheats that water, and then the electric coil only has to keep the water hot. So it does a lot less work, and that's why they're so efficient. And actually, I was going to say, I think all of our installers install those heat pump water heaters, and would be happy to give you a quote for one. Okay, so I mentioned the cost savings for heat pumps versus fossil fuels. And as you can see from this chart, the savings can be quite dramatic, especially if you're currently heating with propane, electric baseboards, or oil. You can really cut your heating costs in half or even by 2/3 going to an air source or ground source heat pump. And I've seen even better savings than what's shown here. Here it's showing a little over $1,000 to heat this house. I've seen people in Tompkins County go from heating with propane and wood at $3,000 a year to heating with a ground source heat pump for $400 a year. And this is an actual friend of mine who very carefully tracks her energy expenses in a very tidy spreadsheet. She even keeps the house warmer with her ground source heat pump than she used to with her propane furnace or her or actually her propane boiler and the wood the wood that she had. So it's pretty impressive savings. Okay, I talked about insulation and air sealing as the first step. And right now there are some really, really good grants available for low to moderate income households to get that work done. This is for Tompkins, and there's a similar chart for Chemung County on our website. I showed the Tompkins one in this slide. They're quite similar, but they're slightly different. So if you earn if your household earnings are up to 60% of median, you qualify for the Empower program. And the Empower program right now, but this is going to go away or it's going to be reduced. So if you're interested in this and you qualify, you want to get started right away, we'll give you a $10,000 grant to get that work done. If you're above this amount but below these amounts for assisted home performance, there's this quite generous $5,000 matching grant. And sometimes that can be applied to a heat pump as well. And HeatSmart has still some additional grant money available that can be stacked on top of the assisted home performance grant. And we also have available to some folks the Finger Lakes Climate Fund grant as well. So talk to your installer if you are income qualified about which of these grants you might be able to apply towards your project. They're very knowledgeable about that. These heat pump incentives are available to everybody regardless of income. These rebates come from the utilities, and you don't really have to worry about these. The installer will apply for these so that your price does not include the rebate. Your installer will show you the price and then the price after the rebate. And then it's on the installers to apply to get this money reimbursed to them. So it's $1,500 per 10,000 BTUs for a ground source system. So we see typically rebates in this range. And then after you've paid for your ground source heat pump system, there's a 26% federal tax credit you can take on the part that you paid. So if you can pay that up front or finance it, which there is financing available, then you can take this tax credit, which is quite substantial. And if this credit is more than what you actually owe on your taxes, you can stretch this out over several years. And we've seen people in our program do that, and it's quite a good benefit. Air source heat pumps are a little cheaper up front to begin with, and so the rebate is a bit less, $1,000 per 10,000 BTUs. But by the way, this rebate is quite a bit bigger than we've ever seen before, and these rebates from NYSEG are supposed to last another 4 years, so they're locked in for a while. And then there's, for the rest of this year, supposedly a $300 federal tax credit. That's a little disappointing. They just basically treated an air source heat pump as any other appliance. So that's why that credit is so low. We'll see if that ever changes in the future. And then for a heat pump water heater, there's a really nice $700 rebate. Again, this is the best we've ever seen. Plus, again, a $300 tax credit. Plus, you can sometimes get some of those income qualified grants to take off on top of that. We've seen people get these heat pump water heaters installed for just a few $100s. It's quite an amazing good deal. And if you get a water heater installed at the same time as a heat pump, this rebate goes to, I believe it's $950 from $700. So if you're on the fence and you're thinking about the water heater at the same time as a heat pump system for your heating, might as well go for it because you're going to get that extra rebate. Okay, so tonight is mostly about our installer partners. That means it's almost time for me to stop talking. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about how we choose our partners. We have an application process. We have interviews. They have to show us examples of their work. They have to deal with us asking a lot of picky questions. And the companies we choose to be a part of our program all have these things in common: a demonstrated track record of quality work, a demonstrated track record of excellent customer service. They stand by their installation. So if they put it in for you and you have a problem with it, they will help. They will take care of it. They will fix it. They will service it. They all pay their employees a living wage. And these are some of the sort of soft qualities that we look for as well, but they're just as important to us as the other ones, which is a willingness to work together as a team with HeatSmart and with each other. We have a very team-oriented atmosphere here at HeatSmart, and they demonstrate a growth mindset. So this clean heating and cooling and building electrification is a major transition in our energy space in New York, and we're all learning about it together. So HeatSmart is learning and the installers are learning. They teach us things, we teach them things. We have great conversations, and we're always trying to learn and improve so that we can serve you and the community better. And lastly, they all share our values, which is, taking care of the planet, taking care of the customers, and taking care of the community. So that's what's really important to us and why we have chosen these partners. So because the demand for heat pumps in our program, the interest in heat pumps has actually doubled this year from last year, and last year was our best year. We had 3 terrific partners, and we decided to add 3 more to meet the demand. So I wanted to introduce to you our 6 HeatSmart partners. And they're going to introduce themselves, but I'll just briefly introduce NP Environmental, was with us from the very beginning of the HeatSmart program. They are specialists in heat pumps. And Halco, they will tell you, they do everything basically has to do with a home. And they've been with this for a long time as well. Daily Geothermal was a new partner last year, also a heat pump specialist. And now we are 3 new partners. We have Lamort Electric Heating and Cooling. They're a small local Tompkins County air source heat pump installer. Simply Installs, they do heating and cooling, and they have a sister company, Simply Home Performance, that does insulation and air sealing. And then last but not least is Zero Draft, who does insulation and air sealing work. And it's been nice to add them because Sean lives right down here in Chemung County near me. So Chemung County is quite far away for a lot of the other companies. So it's nice to have somebody in the Chemung County area who can do this work for us. Okay. So, oops, this is the wrong slide. We'll put if you're ready to enroll and ask for an assessment from one of our installer partners, we'll put the link in the chat. This is not the correct link. Sorry about that. And we'd ask you to start with 1 or 2 partners to come and give you an assessment. Don't sign up for all 6, please. That's just too overwhelming, both for you and for us. Start with 1 or 2, make an informed decision. Talk to me first if you're not sure. And then you enroll with HeatSmart, which means you just fill out a short little form. Then I send the lead to the installer, and they follow up with you, and you make an appointment to have them come and give you an assessment. The assessments are free, and there's absolutely no obligation by signing up. So I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you so much. And next, I'm going to introduce our installer partners. They each have a few minutes to tell you a little bit about themselves, and then we're going to break for questions and answers. And Tara, if you could put the enrollment link in the chat, that would be great. So if people are ready to sign up. So we are going to start tonight with Matt Dennis. from Halco Energy. So take it away, Matt.
Thanks, Lisa. So my name's Matt with Halco Home Energy, and a little bit about Halco. We've been with the HeatSmart program since day one as well. We are also partnered with several other HeatSmart communities throughout the area. What makes Halco special is we do everything. As Lisa said, our motto is yes, we do that. So it has to do with home energy and home comfort, heating, plumbing, electric, insulation, solar. We're your one-stop shop. We've been in business since 1984. We've got 150 employees and a dedicated service department that's available 24/7, 365. We always answer our phone no matter what time you call us. We've we are a Mitsubishi Diamond dealer. We are a LG Pro Platinum dealer. As a matter of fact, we are the largest LG dealer in New York State. So if they had a number above Platinum, that would be us. We are local in the sense that we cover 26 counties throughout Central New York. We have our main office in Phelps. We also have a satellite office in Ithaca. It's the old Snug Planet office on Route 79. Halco and Snug came together last year as one. And we also recently, just very recently, acquired Comfort Technologies, which is based in Dryden. So we are very much in the Tompkins County area, have been for almost the entire time we've been around, for over 30 years. We've got a very, very deep roots tied into Tompkins County. As I mentioned, we do everything. So if your house needs insulation, we do it. We need air sealing, we do it. Needs heat pumps, we do it. And then beyond that, we offer a litany of other services. So pretty much anything you need, we're kind of your one-stop shop. Just a little bit about me personally. I'm a firm believer in everything we're doing. Halco has been doing this, what HeatSmart has been preaching for many, many years now. This is nothing new to us. We've been doing this a very long time. I personally have a net zero home. I've got air source heat pumps in my home. I've got an all electric house with solar on the roof. So I don't just practice it, I preach it. Or not just preach it, I practice it. At the end of the day, we're there to help you out, to solve your problems, and to make it as easy as possible for you.
Thanks so much, Matt. And next we're going to go to Nick Pryputneywitz with NP Environmental. Hey, Nick.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming out tonight. As Lisa said, my name is Nick Pryputneywitz with NP Environmental. I'm the lead field engineer and co-owner at our company. My wife and I actually formed the company back in 2004, and we've been a part of the HeatSmart program since inception. That's actually part of the reason that we're in Ithaca is the HeatSmart program. We met up with some great individuals down there who helped us to get involved, and Ithaca has become a prime territory for us. We specialize in both ground source and air source heat pump technologies. We offer ground source systems that can connect to hydronic radiant systems, anything low temperature to do with hot water, cool water. We do forced air systems and also air source heat pump domestic hot water systems. And we also work with air quality and ventilation systems. So one of the things that sets us apart, I'm a firm believer in designing a system before you build a system. And we're a design build company. The approach that we take, we have field engineers that are on the road. They're evaluating projects. We use data in order to procure a project to our customers, and that design build approach is one of the things that sets us apart. It's a little bit different than what you may see from some of our other competitors. And things that are important to us are delivering comfort to the home and also a reliable system. When you talk about any type of heat pump system, one of the things that you think about is the reliability of it, the longevity of it, and what it can deliver from a holistic approach. I mean, when you invest in heat pump technology, we look at it as a one-time deal, and you're building a relationship with a company that is going to be working with you forever. And we really take that approach seriously, and that's how we've we've worked with all of our customers in all the different territories that we cover. And we started this business to make an impact on the environment. And when we talk about environment, there's many different definitions to that environment. We talk about your home environment and then your living environment that we all share in communities as people within society. And that's very important to us. And in getting into this business, it actually was a pretty easy transition, because when you work in our industry, the benefit that it offers, not only on individual spectrum, but when you look at as a broad spectrum and to the world and individual communities, I mean, it really makes a difference. And one of the things that I've always said, and people are telling me I'm not crazy now, is that there'll be some type of heat pump that when you're operating on temperatures between 30 and all the way up to 125, 130 degrees, a heat pump is the simple answer. The ability of a heat pump to transfer heat from the ground within your home on both sides, whether it be heating or cooling, residential, commercial, manufacturing, industrial. There's just so many applications that it fits that there are many people now that are saying that, hey, Nick, you're not crazy. So it's an industry that we wholeheartedly believe in. It's one that I feel that we were absolutely meant to work in. And we have a lot of appreciation for our customers, our industry partners, all the products, services that we offer. We really intend on building a lifelong relationship. And being a part of these programs and seeing HeatSmart, what it's done from the beginning to what it's become now, the education process and what it's taken to get here, and seeing, we're looking at double the volumes out now. So we're very appreciative of the opportunities, and we hope to be able to speak to you soon about your upcoming project and how we may be able to help you to become 400, 500% efficient, which is really achievable with a heat pump. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nick. Okay, next we're going to go to Daily Geothermal. And Daily was added to our program last year, and they've been a great addition. Are you there,
Hi,
Ryan?
everyone. Thanks, Lisa. I'm Ryan Daly. I own Daily Geothermal Electric in Penn. My dad started the business back in 1996. I took it over from him in 2007. And both my parents still work for the business. My wife runs our office, so it's kind of small, family oriented. We have 20 people. And we switched from conventional heating systems over to geothermal after I got more involved in heating in 2011 and 12, somewhere in there. We also do new construction, plumbing and electric. Mainly, we do three-quarters of the guys do just geothermal and air source heat pump installations. We use water furnace products pretty much solely. Some different new stuff we're looking at. We use GRE and LG air source products and air source heat pump hot water tanks. Like I said, been part of the program down here with Lisa for the last year. We've been down in Binghamton for a couple of years since they started, and just got started with the HeatSmart Finger Lake South program. So we're excited to continue along with this. I'm plenty busy with 6 people now. So this will be interesting another year, keeping everybody going, having lots of fun putting heat pumps in.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Yeah, that's great. We're so happy to have you. Okay. So now we're going to introduce some of our new partners, and I'm still getting to know them, but they have been pretty great so far. And I think AJ from Zero Draft is on the phone. So AJ, I think, can I unmute you, or can you unmute yourself? Let's see. Jessica, you might have to be the one. We've got the whole family here. So Simply Installs is up near Rochester. Logan and AJ are brothers, and Jessica is Logan's dear wife. Are you there, Logan? Thanks, guys. That's great. That's the goal. Just about everybody being able to get a heat pump. So we're getting closer and closer all the time, and super appreciate you coming on board. So last but not least, but I guess when your company starts with a Z, you're always going to be last, is Sean O'Banion from Zero Draft. Sean, are you there?
Hello, everyone. Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, you sound good.
Okay. Okay, good. So I'm Sean O'Bang with Zero Draft. We're based out of Syracuse. We've been in business for about 15 years. We mainly specialize in air sealing and insulation and energy audits. We work with the installers you see here, Daily Electric and Simply Installs. Actually, AJ was just talking about my job in Utica. We serve a pretty big footprint. So as Lisa was mentioning, I'm in Chemung, but I do travel all around New York State, basically Central New York, to help utilize these programs and get people what they can get through these programs. I'm an energy auditor. Thanks for letting us join. We were actually in the HeatSmart program previous, the first time it came out, but it was a little too much for us then. So now that we are able to work with air source and geo installers, then it's working out great because we can focus on the installation, which is what we do. My main thing that I like about this program
Your sound's breaking up, Sean.
is getting into people's houses, and then I like everyone else, I'm a firm believer in this type of work. So I definitely I definitely would encourage you guys to get into this program and see what everybody offers, especially the complicated jobs. I like the
Sorry, Sean, your sound's breaking up a bit. So yeah, as Sean said, Zero Draft was part of our program way back when. And since
so send
then,
those ones my way.
oh yeah, sorry,
Thank
Sean, your sound is breaking up. So I just started
Sorry
talking.
about that.
And since then, I believe that now the company has been bought by the employees and is employee owned, right?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I gotta mute.
In the probably the breakup of this.
Okay, Sean, I'm going to mute you and see if you can get to a place with better service, because you're breaking up a bit. So great. Thank you guys so much. And I think it might be a record for me. I believe we finished that on time per the agenda. And so now that we're going to turn this meeting over to those of you who joined us, all of our guests, and thank you for being here. It's a great turnout tonight, especially considering what a beautiful evening it is. So I appreciate people taking the time out to spend an hour with HeatSmart tonight. So are there questions in the chat, Tara, or do folks can also just unmute and ask questions? You can ask questions of me or any or all of our installer partners. We're here to answer your questions.
I haven't seen any in the chat yet so far.
Okay. Feel free to ask questions in the chat or unmute yourself and go ahead and ask if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking. We don't want that. Go ahead, Rose, or Vivian.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the work you're doing. I recently bought a house that was built in 1948, as in last Friday. I bought it, and I'm wondering about A to Z services, because it needs an audit, it needs insulation, it needs to be made whole as an envelope. The foundation needs to not have water in the basement. It needs gutters, it needs windows, and it's on natural gas furnace and natural gas water heater, electric washer, and electric lights. And so it seems to me like, as I've been listening, and I apologize for being late because my computer decided to update last night, so it took 20 minutes for me to get onto this program. So I'm wondering if from A to Z, is there a program? Because it sounds like each one of you has great expertise in one slot of what I'm thinking I might need. But the first thing that I really need is an audit and then a plan.
Well, I'm gonna throw this one to Matt. I don't think Halco does windows, but
Yeah.
but why don't you take Vivian's question?
So yeah, I mean, I was just jumping at the bit there. Everything you just rattled off, we do, from um, energy assessments to figure out what's going on with the house, insulation, basement waterproofing, gutters, and windows. We do windows, Lisa. So pretty much anything you need from start to finish. So I mean, I don't want to jump on anybody's toes, but yeah, we can get you a whole plan and system to sort of get that through. We've got specialized crews that work with everything. We've got a basement systems crew that's all they do is basement waterproofing. Insulation crews, all they do is insulation. It's not a we send a bunch of guys and figure it out. All of our crews are specialized, but yeah, from start to finish, we can handle all of those issues for you. But yes, the energy assessment is where you want to start, and that's where we always start, because we need to figure out what's happening with the house, and figure out what you want to do with the house, and then also how do we get there? How do we connect the points?
Mhm. Can any of you talk to what the process is once you're in the program, what the timeline might be like?
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot that to why don't I shoot that one to you, Ryan? What's the timeline like? So I'll start. If you enroll with HeatSmart tonight, either tonight or tomorrow, I will get that, look at my email, see your enrollment, see the installer partner names that you picked, and send those leads to the installers. Then they have 2 business days to reach out to you, which they will do usually by email and phone. And then it depends on what you're looking for, where you are, and kind of what's happening in the world when you would be scheduled for that visit. So we've got some different timeframes going on. Ryan, how far out are you scheduling home visits right now? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm looking at the person that's going to answer that.
Hi.
I was hoping to see Leah.
So right now, honestly, we're about 2 to 3 weeks out with site visits, and it's mostly because Ryan and I are going on vacation at the end of July, so I can't schedule any that week. So that makes it a little harder. So that's why we're actually doing August 5th and 6th, I think, is when we're down in Ithaca next. Besides that, it's usually within the week. I try to get them within the week. But with summer, it's kind of hard when you've got vacations and stuff. So, yep, that's what we're at right now, 2 to 3 weeks, just because of vacations.
Okay, that's great. And then what if, so you would do the home visit, and then how long after the home visit would they expect to get a proposal from you?
I send my proposals out within 24 to 48 hours.
Okay, that's great. And then I know you've described this for me before, Leah. So once somebody signs that proposal, what's your process then?
So then we talk about the financing, if they need it, if they don't need it. Usually within the week, we've got that squared away. And we have 30% down payment before the equipment is ordered. But most of the time they'll send a signed contract into us. I'll order the equipment knowing that most people are pretty much good for it. Our equipment comes within 3 to 7 days. LG is having a little bit of an issue with some of their branch boxes. It's taking a little bit longer to get them to us. So once the equipment hits the shop, I try to schedule within a week.
That's awesome. So I'm not going to go through this by asking 6 different installers. Everybody's timing is a little bit different, but the process is more or less the same. So, folks are good. There are, you probably all know, some supply chain issues, some product shortages in the world right now because of COVID. So some things have not been quite as quick and smooth as we usually expect. There's been some issues getting the spray foam components for the air sealing and weatherization. There's been some issues with some components. Ryan,
There's also, I mean, Geo is a little bit different ballgame on that too. I mean, we can wait a lot longer to get holes drilled, and that's a whole different ballgame as far as timing permits and all that too. So it can take a lot longer in air source.
Yeah, generally speaking, the air source is pretty much is a lot faster. Both the scheduling of it and the actual install for the air source is often just a 1-day thing, right? Whereas the geo is usually I think we were on Cornell Street from Monday to Friday before both those houses were done. But that wasn't too bad. So I don't know who wants to take this question. Anybody who used to do fossil fuel furnaces, can you give a comparison to Pamela of the maintenance costs for a heat pump system versus the maintenance cost for the natural gas furnace? Also AC and hot water. Simply installs. Do you want to take that? Do you have that answer, Jessica?
Logan texted me that he pulled over so that he can answer it.
Oh, okay, Logan. The question, Logan, is about the maintenance cost of a heat pump system versus a natural gas furnace, AC and hot water. Logan, are you there? Looks like he's.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, now I can.
All right. So it is very similar in costing if you're looking at like a 1-to-1 is what I'd like to call it. So if we're talking a ducted heat pump where we have one outdoor unit along with an indoor unit, maybe paired with a furnace or with an air handler, that's going to be a very similar cost to just doing servicing like you would on a air conditioner. Except we might want to do two cleanings, one in the beginning of summer, one at the end of summer. Other than that, it can be very similar. If we're talking a multi-zone ductless system, these ones can get a little more costly because, there's a lot more maintenance. If we have 5 indoor heads, that can be a service guy there all day doing the servicing on those. If it's 3 years old, it's a pretty intensive service on the 3-year mark. Did that help?
I answered, but I was muted. Yes, that's definitely helpful.
All right.
It's good to know.
All right.
The air source units, generally speaking, do need a little more maintenance than the ground source. Logan mentioned, I don't know why I'm not in the view here. Logan, can you mute? Or I'll try to mute you. I don't know what to do. Mentioned that beginning and the end of the summer, one thing that the heat pump installers have told me is that the fluff from the cottonwood trees is something you really don't want to get stuck in your outdoor condenser of your air source heat pump. So you want to get your air source heat pump cleaned out and serviced as soon as possible after that cottonwood fluff stops flying around, because that stuff's bad for your heat pump. It can't work as well when it's all gummed up with a bunch of cottonwood fluff. Okay, so Jocelyn is interested. She's got a fairly new gas water heater and boiler, but she's interested in air conditioning in at least part of the house. It says your estimates are saying somewhat less of savings if you have natural gas water heater. What are the options for this? So Nick, what would you tell Jocelyn in her situation?
So in that situation, if you're just looking to cool a specific space, a ductless heat pump system is definitely a good solution. And the nice part about going with a ductless system for the areas that you do want air conditioning, you can also have heating in the winter time. And that heating in the winter time can offset some of your natural gas costs. And to address the savings comparison between natural gas and air source heat pump systems, natural gas is still relatively inexpensive at this point. However, those costs certainly could change, but you are going to see a bump because the air source heat pump system is definitely more efficient on the heating side than the gas system. And you also have the benefit of the air conditioning in the summertime. So really you get benefit from both sides, and you have the ability to condition just partial spaces with the air source heat pump system.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Jocelyn, if you had told me you have a fairly new forced air gas furnace, then I would tell you that there's kind of a nifty dual fuel system where you can mate a heat pump with your forced air natural gas. Then it provides the air conditioning for the whole house through the ducts, and it also does the heating until the temperatures drop real low, and then it switches over to the gas. And I believe that Simply Installs and Halco are the installers who do those dual fuel systems. If there's anybody else who does dual fuel and I'm leaving you out, pipe up now. Sometimes we recommend those for people with a brand new or, you know, in the last 5 years, very efficient gas furnace. It's certainly not sustainable to take a brand new piece of equipment and just throw it in the landfill. And those are relatively affordable, those dual fuel systems. We actually have a couple of people on our HeatSmart Tompkins board who have them and are quite big fans of those systems. Okay, Ben says, can you clarify the relationship between a ground source system and a heat pump water heater? Can the water heater run off the same compressor? Oh, this is a great question. How can I know both Nick and Matt and Ryan all want to answer this question. Those are our ground source people.
Well, we know how much Ryan loves to talk, so.
Come on. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Go, Ryan. Ryan is the.
No, Matt took it. Matt's.
No, you got it, Ryan.
All right, say the exact question again. So I answered exactly right.
Can you clarify the relationship between a ground source heat pump system and a heat pump water heater? Can the water heater run off the same compressor? Question mark.
So heat pump hot water heater is just standalone hot water tank with a compressor on top of it. Works in a couple different modes. Geothermal heat pump can run a multitude of hot water solutions. They can do 100% hot water, can do superheater hot water. It can do combination water. There's all kinds of ways that the geothermal can run the hot water. Air source, I believe, Matt actually have to chime in on this. I believe that there is a couple commercial units, correct, that will do hot water, sort of like a de-superheater setup, but more bigger three-phase units, correct?
For an air source?
Yeah. Doesn't LG make a system that's doing that now?
Yeah, LG does one. It's predominantly their larger commercial stuff or their VRF systems, but honestly, if you're trying to just use it for domestic hot water, it's a ridiculously complicated water heater. So you're better off just stick with the heat pump water heater. But yeah, I mean, they are out there, but it's not really a great residential solution.
But if you're putting a water to water system in, 100% hot water is easy to do. And then water to air, we have standalone situations where it does 100% hot water, and superheaters, there's all kinds of solutions for
it. Nick, why don't you explain what a superheater is?
Ryan's been going to town. I mean, we'll let him continue.
That's it. My quota's up, man.
He's been running the show pretty good tonight. We'll let him continue to speak. No, de-superheater is just a byproduct of the operation of a ground source heat pump system. It's residual heat that you can pick up and put into your hot water. As Ryan said, there's a number of different methods to do hot water. I mean, the way that we do hot water, I guess, is a little bit different than the way maybe some of the other companies do it. We do like the heat pump hot water heaters in conjunction with the de-superheater and buffer tank assembly. Those seem to work well. In some cases, a dedicated ground source heat pump system definitely does a good job with hot water. So that's an option. We do that as well. I mean, you have the option to heat pools, spas. I mean, when you go hydronic, really the flexibility is pretty broad. But to answer the basic question, I mean, no, they don't use the same compressor. They are two separate units, and the heat pump water heater definitely has its own standalone heat pump sitting on top of that unit. But the two in conjunction with one another with the de-superheater is a very efficient operation. But I would also consider how you're using your system. That's a very important question, because some customers may benefit more than others depending upon how much cooling you're doing and what your demand is on the heating side too. So there's some things to consider and look into, but you want to, you know, basically look at what your specific application is and what's going to be the best fit for you. And, you know, any one of us could help you with that and do a great
Yeah,
job.
there's a bunch of different ways to do domestic hot water. So it's just based on your particular situation.
Great. If there was time, I have a puzzling one that one of you is going to get to puzzle out, which we won't go into, but we've got a guy in Danby who's got a ground source heat pump system. The house turned out to be so efficient that they hardly use their geo system. It's sort of a shocking situation. And now he's wondering, since he's got all this ground loop and all this ability, can he, you know, figure out a not too expensive way to run the hot water off of the system that he has. So we'll talk about that another time, since it's almost 8 o'clock, and my commitment to these fine folks is for us to end the meeting on time. In the chat, if anybody wants to follow up with me for a continued conversation, you can either call me at 607-500 HEAT, HEAT, which goes through to my cell phone. So when I call you back from the Pensacola area code of my cell phone, since I moved here from Pensacola, Florida, it's me. I'm not calling about your car's warranty. You can also book an appointment with me on my calendar, so we know it's a good time for both of us. You go to calendly.com/HeatSmart, and you don't have to remember that. It's on our website. There's a little link. You just click on that. So thanks so much to our wonderful installers. Thank you to all of our guests. This was a really informative and interesting conversation. And look for our webinar in August, which will be about button up your home or building. So get ready for the cold weather. It's not quite time for that yet, but we need to think ahead. And just thank you all so much for coming. This webinar was live on Facebook. If you want to share it with a friend, just hit share. It will be uploaded to our website. Take a look at our website. Our older installer partners have done webinars that are there. We have case studies and of houses that they've done in the past, and we're going to be adding more content soon to showcase our new installers as well. So thanks everybody so much, and have a lovely evening.